like to call the meeting to order. We have a quorum, so we can make decisions. The first item on the docket is the approval of minutes from June 15th and June 28th and August 7th, all from last year. So I vote to approve these minutes.
You need to make a motion.
Um,
Does anybody have any comments?
I have a comment on one of the June meetings. There's an item saying Fred wants to know if there will be pilings in the holding basin wall.
okay,
And
right,
I don't remember that, and I can't think of any reason for it, so,
okay, so you,
You want me to get rid of that?
yeah.
Was it a different Fred?
Oh,
no,
Okay,
no, I know it wouldn't be different, Frank.
I'll get rid of that.
Okay,
I have a comment, and one is that the one that's dated, the minutes, the agenda for today says June 15th. But the minutes actually say June 6th, so I'm not sure which date was correct. And I did not go back.
I think the meeting was actually June 6th, wasn't it, Pam?
Okay,
The meeting was actually June 6th. And the site walk was the 28th,
right.
and then we had an abbreviated meeting on August 7th that was we had some problems with Zoom, and that just never got off the ground. But yeah, the main meeting was June 6th, and the site walk was the 28th.
And then likewise on the June 28th, when I guess the question is, and I think all four of us were there, do we want to list who from the committee was at the site walk?
Nick was there as well, and
Yeah, that's,
I mean, I think the whole committee was there.
right.
I have to say that I did not write that down. Who was there, and I mean, I could go ask EPA for the sign-in list.
Oh, I'm just saying from our committee, since just that, that the committee was I mean, this is our minutes, not everybody else's minutes per se. Either way, Pam, on that, I was just raising the issue if we wanted to include that we were all in attendance or who was in attendance from the committee.
I was not there.
Fred was not there. No, a quorum of the committee was present.
Well, you need to list the committee members who were present. You don't
At a
need,
site visit.
yes, but you don't need to, you can just say people from EPA were there. You don't need all their names and stuff, but you have to have the names of the committee members.
So that was me,
Okay.
you, Fred, you were there, weren't you?
Well,
At the
which sidewalk were you?
The one on the 28th, June 28th. You remember?
I was at one in
You-
the summer, that was the only one.
That's the
Yeah,
one.
I was
So that was there.
So Fred was there.
Okay,
And then you said Nick was there? I don't remember.
he said he was there. He was brought a dog.
All right, so we had a quorum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was there also, so.
Oh,
Do we
okay.
know if Frank was there? I think Frank was there, our new committee member that we've only met at the site visit.
If I wasn't introduced to him, if he was there, I don't recall.
Okay. Fred, Pam, Ray, Len, Nick,
Yeah, yeah.
and maybe Frank. I will check whether it's Frank and amend the minutes accordingly. So I have two sets of minutes that are getting minor amendment.
Minor amendments, yeah. And we never bothered with the minutes from August 7th because of the Zoom problems.
Well, I wrote them. Was there anybody else that has? Did you look it over?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
there was one thing I noted here, it's down near the bottom, it said the committee would also like to see an explicit description of restoration plans for the Gabion wall, okay, so that's something that we don't want that to slide by the Maximus without him responding to that.
Hmm?
The Gabion wall.
do you want that line in here or
Yeah,
not?
no, we want the line in here, but we also want to make sure that, he addresses that issue. So, yeah, so leave that in there. That's
Okay.
fine.
So that's probably in our comments for today, to what we're gonna say to Bruce for not in the minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So did you make a motion to accept the minutes as amended?
Sure, I make the motion to, accept the minutes as amended.
Seconded.
Okay, great.
All in favor? You wanna vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay, great. Good job.
accepted unanimously.
Get that out of the way. Okay, so now, that brings the minutes up to date now, right?
That brings them in.
We don't, there's nothing outstanding at all?
I believe there is nothing outstanding right now.
Okay, all right. After August 7th, we didn't have another meeting after that.
No,
Okay, so we're good in the minutes. That's
good on minutes, yeah.
Okay. Okay, item number 3 in the agenda is, election of new officers. I was, informed by Pam that the terms of the officers, run, from, when did you say they run from?
Till after town meeting.
Till after town meeting. So, at this point, I move that we, elect new officers, unless do you want to do
You
it now?
need to make a motion, you can just say we will postpone this.
We'll postpone for the election of new officers until after town meeting. Okay, the thing that, I did want to spend a little bit of time on is, item number 4, discuss future committee operations and meeting dates, okay? I'm just wondering, I thought a lot about this, what's the purpose of the committee going forward? Anybody have any ideas about what direction that we want to take as a committee? You know, what's our, we certainly don't have to recommend to the town whether or not to buy the property, because that's being done by the task force.
Mhm.
So what is our job? What will our job be going forward?
So I think it's really important that one of the things we make sure happens is that what Maximus and EPA say should happen at the site actually happens at the site. The
Okay,
example being that the record of decision says that there's gonna be 10 feet of clean soil on top of the cap. And the actual plan is for a few feet of soil on top of the cap. And it had been presented to us in the past that you could actually use the space on top of the holding basin, and now they're saying this should be undisturbed grass on top of the holding basin, and it should get mowed, and that's it.
so,
It wasn't in our plans to actually use that space, but we want to be sure that more things are not dropped that limit the future use of this site.
well, and so in other words, I think what we'd like to do is one of the things that we could do going forward is to make sure that the site is being remediated in the best interest of Concord. And, the holding basin would be a good example of that. You know, we expect to have 10 feet of clean material, on top of the holding basin to further, isolate it from causing any health effects to anybody who might be on the site. Either working or living or whatever the new use for the site is. We want to make sure that that's holding basin has enough separation, between the receptors and the contamination. So that's, one thing that we need to think about.
There was talk of having the holding basin, cover unburied for a while.
Right, they were gonna put,
I think this would be a very bad thing, because an exposed cover sends a message, and the message is that here is a huge pile of toxic radioactive waste, and nobody's gonna get anywhere near it.
Well, again, I
It should
believe
be
the
there,
cover,
Out of sight.
they were talking about just putting a grass on top of it, as opposed to putting the 10 feet of clean fill on top of it.
The Maximus mentioned,
Right.
mentioned 2.5 feet, but he's
Right.
willing to go to 3 feet, and I don't think that's really acceptable. And I'll tell you why, is because, they took that fill material from, building A. And while they said they did a pre-characterization study on that to make sure that there was no contamination going into the holding basin from the area under building A. I think they need to explore, a little bit more. And I don't think their pre-characterization really fills the bill for, confirmatory sampling. And, don't get me wrong, I mean, I'd like to see, that clean fill brought in from someplace else and put in the holding basin, but if that were the case, what's there, is gonna have to be dug out. So
Now, that's under the cap.
that,
That would be under the cap, that
it
material.
depends on where the cap goes. If they may dig that out, put the cap in and then recover it again.
Okay,
But my concern is that there may be contamination there that they didn't get the first time around. And I don't have an objection to them, using this fill from building A. Even though the record, the decision says clean fill.
well,
But
but
the
they also
thing is-
say clean fill on top of the cap, not clean fill under the cap. That's what we're actually arguing about right now, is part of what they
So,
changed.
But aren't we, I think we're all in agreement, is that they need to conform to the record of decision, and one of the functions of this committee is to ensure that if there's a deviation from the record of decision, that this is raised properly and reconciled, whatever, I mean, it might be ultimately it's decided that, yes, that's fine, but we need to make sure everybody who's involved is aware of it and everybody's in agreement that was okay to go that way versus this way. So, so I think that goes back to your point, Pam, is that's what one of the functions of what the committee needs to continue to do is monitor going forward based on the record of decision, if that's being if that is occurring.
The other thing is, as I mentioned before, I don't have objection, to that clean fill being, or that fill material being from, under building A, but, I would like to see further sampling before they just go ahead and say, that's good, we'll just leave it there.
This is still on top of the cap you're talking about.
No, right now, it would be under the cap.
Well, under the cap is inside the wall, isn't it?
Right, is inside the
So-
wall, and Len is saying that they might have, if they really want the holding basin to be, if we really want the 10 feet on top of the holding basin, they're gonna have to dig that stuff
They're
out.
gonna have to dig it out, that's right.
Because
that's right.
it's up to grade right now, and not that they would raise the grade.
Right, they would,
Okay.
right, the grade would be the same, it just
Okay.
that they would dig out however much.
Mhm.
And they're willing to put down, but again, I don't have any problem with that material that's there already from building A.
They have
But
to-
they need to, I think they need to recharacterize it.
They have to regrade what's on top of the holding basin now to put the cap on, right?
Well, I don't think they have to regrade it so much as they're gonna have to make room for that cap. And I don't
Okay.
think they're gonna build up, I think they're gonna keep the same grade, so, what's there, some of it's gonna stay there. Enough to be able to, and again, the other thing is, how deep do we want the cap?
So I wanna actually finish up the discussion on what the committee's gonna do, as opposed to talk about actually get to the committee work
Okay,
yet, because we haven't set the meeting dates yet either.
right.
So let's go back to this. So one of the things that we're doing as a committee is making sure that the record of decision and the things that have been done so far actually meet the standard, that they're actually doing what they said they were going to do.
Right,
So we're following the documentation, the testing, the actual cleanup plans, looking at those things, and that's gonna keep us busy for 4 years or so.
right. And we also need to make sure that, the cleanup is being done in the best interest of the town.
Yeah.
For whatever use that the town may make of the property in the future. So, and that includes whether or not the groundwater is cleaned up to residential standards, so. This is another thing that we need to,
Yeah,
we
so
need to
as
watch.
liaison to the other committee will want to know things like, what are the use limitations and industrial controls gonna be like? And what is the cleanup that continues at the site gonna be like, that has, as it interferes? So keeping track of what the industrial controls are gonna be and what the use limitations are gonna be is another thing this committee should probably do.
Yep,
Do you think?
yep, I agree.
Okay,
How does that leave us with the reports? Do we want to continue reviewing the reports? Each report that comes out, right now, the reports are just flying off the shelf. And
but
it's,
this is how they're getting away with changing things from a 10-foot cap to 2.5 feet cap. You know, a
Right.
2.5 feet
And they
fill on
basically,
top
they-
of things, is that
they-
they're throwing documents at us
that's right.
so fast with 2 weeks turnaround time on
That's
commenting
the other
on
thing, is
them.
we're not getting enough time to review the docs.
Yeah,
Right, and likewise, and the one that you guys sent out earlier this month. I don't know, when I went to print it must have glitched, because I thought I was like, had multiple copies, and then I realized, no, it just somehow printed this. It must have my computer printed the same first part a couple times, and I didn't actually have the whole thing that I was reviewing. I didn't get through the whole document, but that's my fault. But yes, it's the fast and furious number of documents, and
right, exactly. And also too, is it's not just the individual documents, some of them have multiple revisions. I sent out a couple of documents, the groundwater. My comments for the groundwater sampling, the April 2023 groundwater sampling, did you get that?
I don't know, Leonard, I'm trying to recoup and figure out what I have and don't have, so therefore and likewise, I'm looking at, the one I was looking at was the remedial action work plan one that, but that's not the water one, so.
No, that was a separate one. I
you
sent
said
out,
a comment on the groundwater, the committee, which means Len, sent comments to EPA about the groundwater.
Oh, yeah, I had those comments.
and then I'm right,
Yeah.
and then and then I just sent another, comments out. I just got them out. And that was the ISS for the holding basin, the 30%.
I stand corrected. I meant the ISS is the one I was looking at, but okay, yeah.
Okay, I got that out just earlier this week. So
Right.
you get that one, Ray?
I got that one. I have to go back on the water one to see if I do have that one, so, okay.
Okay, the water one would have been about a month ago. So yeah, it's just, she's not, she's. I don't like to use the word steamrolling, but she's just not giving enough time.
I believe she is actually steamrolling. I don't
Okay.
think, I think that's purposely trying to get things done as fast as possible and potentially not having discussions about things that we probably would want to discuss where she unilaterally is making a decision. She's never worked with this committee before the way
Right.
previous project managers have, to realize that we will do our best to do the right thing there as fast as possible.
You know,
She's used to working only with the contractors at this point.
the other thing too is each project, we've had 3 project managers. We've had Melissa Taylor, we've had Chris Smith, and now we've had Kara, and each one of them has their own way of working.
Yeah.
Chris Smith was very, very much hands-off. It's like he was juggling multiple projects and just didn't really present a big presence for nuclear metals.
Yes, but he did actually get us documents in a timely fashion and give us a reasonable amount of time to look through them and listen carefully to our input. And
Yeah,
I'm not sure Kara is doing that. She's defending why DeMaximus is doing their thing. You know,
yeah.
we send
right.
something that's a comment and she says, sure, that's a comment. So,
And the other thing too, is that to go along with this, in the minutes from, June sixth of last year, we had a whole bunch of comments about the 30%, site-wide sediment and soils, remedial design. We had 5 or 6 different comments here. Now, I'd like to know what happened to those comments. They're getting ready to submit the remedial action work plan, okay?
you wrote those comments up and sent them to them, right?
I did. I want to make sure that they're addressed and that the Maximus is not giving us some benign neglect here. So,
Yeah,
folks, the minutes from June sixth, all those comments about the 30% site-wide sediment and soils, we wanna look at the work plan pretty carefully to make sure that those concerns are addressed in the work plan. Because the work plan, you know, right now, the work plan is, that's how it's gonna be done. The remedial design is what they're gonna do. The work plan is how it's gonna be done, so, our comment should be addressed in the work plan.
so, so future operations for the committee. We've discussed that we're gonna be following the documentation and making sure that the cleanup happens like we planned. We're gonna be, making sure that, we're gonna be monitoring the use limitations and the industrial controls. And in the best interest of the town, not just as planned, but in the best
Yeah.
interest of the town.
Yeah.
And we're
exactly.
going to be making sure that our comments are addressed in
Yeah,
future documents.
yeah,
Yeah. So for a little while, it would be nice to keep really technical people on our committee. Because
Yeah.
we're gonna be reviewing these documents and it helps.
um,
Do we actually see a time when we think that's gonna change in the next?
no,
So
not
that's-
within the next 5 years.
That's the
anyway.
plan for the next 5 years.
Yeah, yeah.
I think when that changes, Pam, that's when this committee goes away, because you have the other committee. I mean, maybe I'm missing something, but
The task force only has a short term to make a
Okay.
recommendation whether the town should buy the place, and if so, what we should do with it. And so that expires and whatever. I think maybe this committee should morph into that, and the people that are on this committee should be more of the management of town resources kind of group, and not necessarily someone who's just following the documentation.
Well, we're also short one member. Our committee is short one
Yeah.
member. Now, there are what, 7 members on the task force? You know, when their life expectancy is done, does
Some of
what,
them might come
one
over
or
here.
two want to come over to it?
I
To
think
continue?
Kurt might, so I'm, yeah, but in other words, I think that at that point, this committee transitions to more of a caretaker committee and not a push hard while the science is changing every day committee. You know, it becomes more. Yeah,
Do we, get back to the question of the reports, do we still want to look at the reports as much as we do now? It's,
actually, Len, based on and I agree with this, the Fast and Furious things, I think we need to be looking at them more, because that's where they're putting stuff to, to raise questions. Wait a minute, this is inconsistent with the record of decision. And
Yeah.
I need to go back and look at the record of decision, and I pulled up the EPA website, and like, I'm not even sure do they truly have all their documents published on their website that I can go find if,
so they are not putting up on the website the interim documents, the draft documents that they're showing us.
right.
They're showing us those and then taking more information and putting them out. They only put them out once they're complete. And when they put them out as complete, it's a document. At the end of it is a document, And then in between is all the correspondence back and forth and decisions about the document, as opposed to they fix the document. So it's a challenge because it's like they don't. The way they write the documents is not really, it makes it hard to track whether they're really changing everything.
Right,
the
well,
way
if
we
they
want
include
it.
the correspondence, it would
Yeah,
be, yeah.
The
Yeah,
issue is it's not a truly public, because it's not truly public also, comment period where they, they're replying in the, congressional record or whatever. This was the comment and this is how we addressed it, or we're not agreeing with it. It's not that process, so it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, and they call that response to comments, and sometimes, you get 6 or 7 or 10 pages of the EPA's response, comments
Yeah.
that went to the Maxibus, and then the Maxibus has got to respond to those.
And it can be something like, we don't like the way this was done on this page, or something, this formula was
Right.
presented on this page, or
Right,
this
exactly.
reference was used for
Right.
this thing. So
Right.
some of it is,
Or they should have used
Yeah.
parentheses when they didn't use them, or whatever,
Yeah. As well as, oh, we don't like the whole level of.
May I make
the
some
these and
comments?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I'm the select board liaison. First of all, I'm so glad that we're, going over the purpose of this committee. And, it is good to review it every few years. I am going to, give a, 30-second, summary of that to the select board in my report. I want to make sure that they understand the difference between the two committees. Secondly, I'm very concerned, with what I'm hearing. I'm really grateful to you guys for being the watchdogs. And if they're throwing documents at you too fast, we need to all speak up and get this slowed down and working better. For example, have you talked to Kara about this, or could they provide redlined versions where they show what's changed? Could your company meet more often? I think it's absolutely crucial to get this problem fixed.
So Terry, this is an interesting problem because they're not really required to give us these drafts of these documents. Normally you have only when the major final remediation plan comes out, do they show it to the people that are not principal responsible parties and let people comment on it.
Okay,
Instead, they've been giving us all the interim versions to look at, and so we don't want to aggravate them to say,
All
okay,
right.
we're back to that. So we
Okay.
don't actually want to be too demanding on that.
All
But we
right, but,
do want to, I mean,
but-
I think you're right about meeting more often might be something that we need to do.
right, also, Pam, as liaison, I think you should talk with Paul. Paul and Kara are working very, very closely together. And Paul is one of the ones that's rushing things, in my opinion. The rest of that task force is trying to slow Paul down. So Kara might be rushing because of Paul. I don't know what the exact dynamic is.
No, that's not what's going on here.
All right,
This is we want to get on with the cleanup. We
Yeah.
don't want to have to wait for the town saying we want 3 feet instead of 6 feet. If we just,
Right.
they did things like just fill in the holding basin with the building materials from building A without actually, even though the record of decision says clean
Right.
fill. They decided it was clean fill and put it in there and told us after they had done it.
right,
And
right,
we're
right.
trying to, and they're not doing that because of Paul, they're doing that because they want to get on with getting the
Right.
cleanup
Yeah,
done.
if
And we
any-
want them to get on with the cleanup,
If,
but we just want to make sure that there aren't those kinds of things
Yeah, but I
happening.
was there when they
That's not
announced-
Paul doing it.
Okay, well, when they announced the 10 feet was getting changed to the 2 or 3 feet, I remember being in the room thinking, what? But I was the only one, like nobody else reacted. Everyone just sat there with their game face on. It was a site visit in the summer.
But that was actually something our committee had already kind of noted and were
Right.
concerned about.
Right, they.
That's why they
Right.
addressed it at that meeting.
Well,
so.
why do you? Okay, so you noted it and you're concerned, then what? They don't do anything, even though you're concerned, they just go on with their
Yeah,
thing?
this is, so far, this is, but the thing is not capped yet. So this is postponed, but we need to be sure that when they get around to actually deciding what they're going to do, they have in fact followed our, EPA has punted that decision for later.
Okay, well, I think that the rest of the task force and the should know about this. And possibly even the select board. This is a really important thing that's happening with how much fill is going there. And I don't know how many more examples of this there are, and I don't want the EPA to ignore you guys. I want your concerns to be listened to.
Well, I think if anything, it's the Maximus that's pushing EPA. The Maximus wants to get this done. That's how they make their money.
Right,
And if they take too long to do it, they get penalties for that.
That's
So
right.
it costs them
That's
money
right.
to,
And I think that Bruce might be whispering in Kara's ear saying, yeah, we gotta get on with this, okay?
well, fine, but the select board are not going to sign on if you guys are not convinced that it was done properly. Right, and then.
so Kara, so Terry, that's kind of the point of what this committee is doing.
Right,
In other words, this is why it's still important that we actually follow all these documents and be ready to make comments often about it.
Exactly.
Even while the other committee is doing their thing. It's sort of this is why maybe we should be meeting much more often to be reviewing these documents and making noise to Kara. The other thing is maybe we should make Kara come to these meetings.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Kara plus the public relations person. I'd love to get them at one of these meetings, maybe the next meeting.
So, well, actually, Len, on that point, I think we need more meetings. I'm saying that as I'm sitting 400 miles away from you guys currently, but and I'm wondering if we need to somehow, and we have them as minutes, but capture, and I'm not sure how to think this process through, but capture our comments as, when we sent it back to them and what we've gotten back, sort of do a more continuous log of the comments, and every 3 months or whatever, creating more work for us, I know. Send them up through Terry to the select board. It's like, okay, here are our current concerns, and when we asked it and what we've heard back, so they're better in the loop of what's going on, and likewise maybe the other committee.
I completely agree with that, Ray. And that was my next comment. Should part of our job be to, I looked at the charge, the original charge of the committee more than 20 years ago was to keep the Board of Selectmen and other town boards appraised of what was going on at the Superfund site, and I'm not sure that we've done a very good job of that. So Terry, I propose that we prepare a written letter for the Board of Selectmen and the town manager every 6 months.
Well, right now we're supposed to do that once a year.
Yeah, but do they ever see that though? Did they ever see
Well, I
our
don't
end
think
of?
they wrote it. They
I'm not.
until I took time off. So this year and the last year, when it was you this year and Nick the
Yeah.
previous year, I don't think we've done an annual report or
Correct.
reported for Selectmen. But
That's
previous
correct.
to that, we would write. I would write an annual report, and I would go to the Board of Selectmen and I'd present.
That would be great, because
So
I really have some concerns listening to you guys now, and this is the time to get all of our communication straight. I also wanted to just add really quickly that task force does have a lifespan, but when they end, there'll be a new more of a planning board kind of a group that will figure out the uses of the site if we go ahead. And your group will be crucial the entire time to keep monitoring. Even if we purchase or acquire the site, we will still need your expertise in helping with the monitoring.
Yeah, I agree that, somebody's gonna do it. Somebody's gonna be kind of the watchdog for this.
But
Yeah.
once the site gets developed, gets,
Develop.
the big cleanup gets developed, looking at these other sites that have had it, it's like once every 5 years, they do monitoring and stuff like that. That's not
No,
something
but
that you need a committee that meets.
No, but
Yeah.
we need to have institutional controls, and part of that will be done by staff and by a committee. We can't just monitor the site once every 5 years. We're going to have to figure
Well,
out.
I agree. I've seen, these things come apart, particularly, groundwater is so unpredictable. You could, they could sample and think they've got it all. But, it could be a year later.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you see a rebound effect in uranium or 1,4-dioxane. And maybe somebody has already put a well in there, not a drinking water well, but they could put,
Yeah.
say, to water, vegetables or something like that. And then if this does rebound in a year or 2 years, what are they gonna do about it? So,
So Terry, are you talking about a permanent planning board that would replace the task force for the site?
I guess we don't know yet what we're gonna do. We don't even know if we're gonna acquire the property. But I guess, your committee will continue for many years. And there will be, the task force that we have now will be superseded by another committee. And so for the next 5 to 10 years, we know what we're doing. After that, I don't know.
So I'm gonna point out that our charge for this committee was written very, very ambiguously, with the idea that there would be a time when it was important where everybody on the committee could read a scientific document and look at this stuff and talk about the cleanup. But that there would be other times when, in the far future, it might be more about running the site and it might be more of a planning board sort of thing, so that this committee, after a certain point, could morph into whatever the town needs for
Yes,
that.
that's
I
right.
think the discussion today is we still need the heavy science committee for at least 5 more years.
Yeah,
While the
yeah.
cleanup's going on, and make sure that the cleanup and the sampling agree with what the plan was in the first place and the requirements were in the first place.
Right, I agree.
That's the
And
town.
I agree. And then, there will be some scientific knowledge needed in the future to monitor the institutional controls, whatever that's gonna be all about. And, you can always change the charge of your committee. If the needs change, you come back to the select board and we change the charge. So don't worry about all that. But I'm right for now. I think you're absolutely on the right track, and I think we should get this cleared up. Have Kara come more, report to the select board more. You guys meet more often, get redlined versions, whatever you need, so that you can be an effective watchdog. Let's do it.
Okay, I think that's a good point moving forward. If we can, just, kind of change gears here, a little bit. So we're discussing, future community operations and meeting dates. I think that we should, meet at a minimum quarterly. And if there's a big document coming out, maybe even more often than that, but certainly quarterly. And we've got a couple of big documents coming out. Probably the most important one is the 60% holding basin remedial design. That we've got a lot of comments on that. So we That's something that we're gonna want to take a look at pretty closely, and I think that's the due date for that is April. So I think that that's gonna be submitted DPA in April. I'll have to check that, but that's gonna be a big one, and
Say again, what's the document?
it's the 60% holding basin
Okay,
remedial design. And we've got a big stake on the table on that one. We got a lot of important stuff. So that's something that we're gonna need to take a pretty close look at. So I think that's probably gonna be our next meeting, is my guess is. It's hard to pin an exact date because we don't know when that's gonna be submitted to EPA. But I'm estimating approximately April. Which would fall in line with our meeting every 3 months anyway.
Can I
We'll check
propose that we list meetings monthly, knowing that we're gonna knock out most of them? Just so we can put it on our calendars and stuff like that.
You
Or
want
five.
to meet monthly?
I
Ray?
don't think we need to meet monthly. My point is though, if we put them monthly and then can't pull them off the calendar that way, we have tentative dates of when we're gonna meet, versus the issue of, okay, we just got this, we gotta meet next week type deal. I mean,
Yeah, that's good. We can keep the dates free that way, and if it's decided to have.
I really like that idea of going back to the monthly meeting plan, because
Okay,
then we can always respond to a document within 30 days.
okay, I mean, that's fine with me. That'll work. I think it's pretty often, but yeah, I can deal with that. That's fine.
and we can
And
cancel.
then, what happens if there's no document due, then what do we just, we give a week's notice and we cancel the meeting, is that? Or do you just wanna meet anyway? Regardless whether there's a document due or not?
My thought is we cancel if it's not
No.
necessary, but
So give a week's notice and cancel it then.
You don't
right?
need a week's notice to cancel. You can cancel an hour before the meeting if you have to.
Well, I'm just thinking that people might already have that
Yeah, I know.
particular time and place booked for some other activity and,
Right.
and if we cancel, it's just
So
kind of
was
throws their
our-
schedule off a little bit.
Was our original plan to have it the third Tuesday of the month, second Tuesday of the month on Tuesdays at 11 a.m.?
It's gonna have to be, because I work nights, it's gonna have to be during the day, yeah.
But was
so,
it Tuesday or Friday that you wanted?
I mean, I prefer Friday, actually. That's, Friday seems to work out. How's that work for everybody else?
I'd rather have Friday than Tuesday.
Ray, what about you?
I was gonna say, based on my current work schedule, Tuesdays tends to have a lot of meetings for work, so Friday is actually better for me too at this point.
Okay, so Friday weekly, we'll put it in the schedule, and then if there's nothing to review, I'll give at least a couple of days notice to cancel it, so you guys can.
Okay, so what day of the month are we doing it? First week, second week?
What's today? Today is the 18th, 19th?
19th.
All right, let's do the 19th of February and the 19th of March.
Huh?
Let's monthly on the
No,
19th.
Not the 19th, that's a different day of the week.
Oh,
It's
you're right, of course.
It's the third, this is the third, right? The third Friday? Am I looking? Yeah, it's the third Friday of the
The
month.
19th. Yeah,
So next month it would be
well,
the 16th, I guess.
okay. So the third Friday of the month then, on a Friday.
So February 16th. March 15th.
Yeah,
Oh, is it a leap year? Yes.
wow, is that lucky?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's supposed to be lucky?
April 19th. May 1, 2, 3, 17th. June 1, 2, 3, 21st.
All right.
And I'll continue, I'll go ahead and schedule those out for the year. So the third Friday of the month at 11 a.m.
Okay. Okay, the last thing on, well, actually not the last thing on the agenda, but, item number 5 is the, site-wide sediment and soils phase 1 remedial action work plan. Has anybody taken a look at that? I
Only-
emailed that out about a week ago when I.
And what is that? That is,
That is
she needs-
actually the how to do it, how they're gonna do it.
and this is the result of after all of our comments about it. This is the final version, right?
This is the final version. This is the one that's supposed to be set in concrete. About how they're gonna do this.
Was there concrete involved in all? I don't know.
Well, I'm just figuratively set in concrete. It's about a 290-page document.
No, this is not the one that includes the foundations. This is the one that's been limited. This does not have.
This is the site-wide excavations of soil, other than the holding basin.
But I thought they divided it into 2 because they weren't
They
ready
did.
with the RALs.
They-
So this one
they
has
did.
the new section and the new RALs.
No, that's gonna be phase 2. This is
Okay.
phase 1.
Okay,
Phase 2 is probably gonna be the summer, maybe
Okay.
June. So, I think the best thing you do maybe is, for us, do you have time to, in your schedule, Ray, time to, review, some of this material, or is it? I know you're pretty busy.
So I started reviewing it and
Oh, you did? Okay, great.
I mean, I'm not anywhere, as I said, I was trying getting it. It's like, I went to print it out somewhat and it's like, wait a minute, it printed out the same thing twice, so I don't know what happened to my thing, so I'm not even halfway, I'm not even a quarter way through it at this point,
Well,
but.
if I can make a suggestion, it's actually pretty well organized. The first, 15 or 16 pages or so, gives you most of what you need, for what they're gonna do. And then they go on to the appendices. The appendices, A is the field sampling plan. B is the construction drawings, and C is the construction specification. So if I can make a suggestion that we all read, the first 15 or 16 pages. And then, each one of us take a particular appendix, and review that appendix. So Fred, I know that you like, figures and drawings and maps.
Yes.
Do you want to, take a look at, Appendix B, which is the construction drawings? And there's a lot of drawings there. But a lot of them deal with existing conditions the way they are now. What I would do is I would focus, on the ones that say excavation plan. There's like 4 or 5 of them that say excavation plan. That's what they're gonna do. So that maybe rather than focus on the existing conditions, to focus on, the actual excavation plan, the remediation plan, or what they're gonna do.
There's the first problem I have is where do I find the document?
They're all in the link that I sent you. The drawings are all in the link. They're all in Appendix B.
It would be nice to have a library someplace with all these documents.
So
in
this
it,
is actually
so we
something
could
that-
find things.
we are reviewing a document and it should be public for anybody who's coming to this meeting. Except that we're kind of given these documents to review. I mean, this is the final version. This is probably actually present on the EPA website too.
Probably, yeah.
Hey,
But
Lynn, I'm sorry if I could just jump in. I don't think I've seen this document, and I was gonna ask if you could forward it to me, and then I was gonna ask.
I
where
actually did.
You did?
I did. I emailed it to you. Yeah, you and to Tim.
well, this is something where when we're passing around documents,
It would have come in earlier this week.
I also think that EPA sent this out too. before.
They probably did. The problem with that is that, they're locking it with a password code.
Oh, okay.
And Kara said that, you may not be able to get into it. I had a tough time to get into it. I was able to download my own version. That didn't use the EPA code, and that's the one I sent out to you folks. That would have gone out, and probably Monday or Tuesday.
I don't see a copy of it in my,
Len, it was last week at least, I think, so let me.
Okay, it was last week, yeah.
Let
But
me-
asked
let me-
Bruce
got
a few
it though,
times
right,
to-
Ray?
I'm sorry?
You got it, right, Ray?
Yeah, let me, Terry, or Kevin, excuse me, see if I can figure out when Len sent it and who he sent it to, and I'll let you know. If you
Okay.
want. So,
Well, he sent it out when he was discussing whether we would have this meeting today instead of the original Tuesday we had scheduled it for.
Yeah,
So,
you see the problem finding these things, they're in an email, and there are sometimes several enclosures.
You need to print it, you need to print it. I
Right,
can,
but you gotta find it to print.
well,
it.
no, but it's hundreds of pages, a lot of these documents, so we can't really
Right.
print them.
well, what I'm thinking is just print out the maps, the figures. There's only about 5 of them with that specifically deal with what they're gonna do now. I can print those out and drop them off to you, Fred, if you want me to. Or somehow figure out a way to get them to you,
So-
but I can print them.
So my question is for Terry here. So Terry, this is a matter of,
That'd be nice.
this committee reviews documents that may not actually be public yet. So I'm not sure whether I'm comfortable downloading them and putting them on our website as meeting materials. And they're huge, so the idea that somebody might have to look through a meeting packet to come to this meeting that would include a 200-page document in there.
Right,
Can we put them on our website in a sort of meeting packet links area, and the link is in the meeting packet?
absolutely. Yes, you can. The select board already does that. Maybe Heather Carey, who is setting up your meeting today, could help you with that. If not, let me know. We'll get Chris Carmody or someone to do that. You don't need to have a meeting packet of 500 pages. You just put in the link.
Okay,
Um,
and so I want to put these on the town website somewhere so that there can be a link. And I need to ask Kara whether that's okay to do that, because she considers that a confidential
Yeah, no,
document.
that's a good point.
Right,
I
so.
hadn't even said that.
So you don't, so, okay, so if that doesn't even work. There are ways to figure this out. I'm not sure you have to have the link at all. But, do you actually have meetings where you sit here and say, page 56, line 3, I don't like that parentheses, and do you actually talk about these documents in the meetings?
In theory, we used to do that. Recently, what's been happening is that Len has just been writing EPA will send out to a bunch of people, and sometimes it's the committee, sometimes it's to a wider group. It might include Green Acton of,
Right, right,
and
I've
other
gotten a lot
that
of
are
them. Yeah.
and they send out a draft of something and they want comments about it, and Len
Right.
writes the comments. So committee members just send him comments and he puts them together, and we don't have a real sit at
Then
a
don't
meeting and
worry
just.
about it. If you're not,
Yeah.
if you're not discussing it at the meeting, you do not have to link to the document.
But we want to be discussing it at the meeting.
Yeah,
more
we
and
do.
not
Yeah.
doing things.
Okay,
this gets to the issue of public meeting rules, and I know Len puts on the top, these are his comments, because in theory, the committee can't present comments back if we don't meet and vote on them, so therefore
That's right.
that's part of our issue.
right.
And this is 64 megabytes, and the version for the Kevin, I don't see your name on the thing. He sent it to of who he sent it to, so you didn't get it. But
I didn't.
no, you sent it to Tim.
Okay. Kevin, I'm sorry.
No problem. But I
Who
think
was
this
that
is,
to?
I've been trying to get on DeMaximus's and EPA's distribution list, and they've said, yep, we put you on, and then there are documents that come out, and it looks like I haven't seen them. So
Well, and this was actually a problem last year, was that Paul Bohm was getting all the documents and then not passing them on to anybody, and no one on this committee was getting for a while. We fixed that somewhat,
Well,
but
we realized what was happening, and
Yeah.
then we went to Kara and said, hey, we can't get you to.
I
things-
love your
business like that.
suggestion. I love your suggestion to bring Kara into some of your meetings. Because
Yeah.
your technical expertise is what we need. All this stuff about the logistics of the documents, that's a waste of your talent. Let Kara and town staff figure all that bunk out, and so that you guys can actually use your talents. Does that make sense?
well, part of what we're doing, Terry, at this meeting is we're criticizing Kara.
I
So
know, I
it's
understand
good, it
that.
would be good to get her here, but the goal is not to have her explain the documents to us. It's for us to say, Kara, why isn't this still there? Kara, why isn't that still there?
Right,
It's for us to be
absolutely.
able to say, to actually hold what she said was in the documents to what is actually in the document.
Correct. So she should be at the meetings, and the first question will be, let's get the distribution set up properly so everybody who needs a copy gets one. And you guys don't have to waste time on that.
But if we're discussing the document at a public meeting, the question is also whether we can have some public repository for the
Right.
history of what documents were where. So I heard two different things for things that as clerk or that I'm gonna be doing is one is I'm gonna be setting up a like database list of what comments we made and what the reaction was when we sent comments to EPA about things, right? That
Okay,
was the first thing. And then the second thing was to be able to put these documents somewhere online so that we're not committed to Len sending them out to everyone. They can link to them without
and that includes a conversation with Kara saying, Kara, is this gonna be a problem if we
Yeah.
do this, right? Okay, because we
Yeah.
need to, because I hadn't considered that. I considered that whatever she sends to me to be distributable to anybody who needs it, and that may not be the
But you
case.
had a passcode that didn't.
Well,
you know,
that's just
I
for that
mean,
particular one, though.
one of the things that used to happen is Kara used to send it out to the whole list of people that had signed up to say they wanted updates on this
Yeah.
thing, which, EPA does that every time you sign in for one of those meetings,
Yeah.
you go on a list and you're gonna get copies of things and that's not happening the way that it used to, because Kara is not Kara and not Chris or Melissa, so.
Right, well, the question is that does
Yeah.
she want us to distribute not the final documents, but the intermediate documents?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
that's what-
however, Len, if she's sending them out to us and to the crew people at all, it's not
who
like
she
they're-
is.
that we are the public in some respects, so therefore I think she'd be hard pressed to say, well, and we do want to get the documents, so we don't want them to shut them off, but it's hard pressed to say, yeah, well, only these public people can get them, not everybody else. So, and likewise, if
Yeah.
well, like Kevin's here at the meeting and he didn't get a copy of the document, and we're not doing this today, but if we were going through this and he was, and it's 290 some pages, but as we're going through it, he's gonna learn stuff that if he wasn't supposed to be learning it, they shouldn't have been giving it to us in some respects. So I don't know how they can. talk
Okay,
Well,
about
and
it.
what
so-
we're looking at today is actually a final version, and they may have posted that on the website somewhere publicly.
That's a
because that
possibility.
is supposed to
can't
be
find
the
it, but
final
that's-
version.
So
My suggestion is to see if you can get this worked out with Kara. And if there's confidential things that she doesn't want to go out, let me know. I will figure out if we have to work with town council. You may have to have executive sessions. I don't know, but there needs to be much better communication from Kara to this group. So let's start with that. And let me know if you run into any issues. That's my job. I will try to get this path smoothed out for you guys.
Okay, so who is so Karen Byrne was our administrative person for this committee before. Who is the new administrative person for us?
I don't think you have one. Because
I thought it was was it Shannon?
Shannon works for the town manager.
Yeah.
Shannon works for the town manager's office, and sometimes
Yep.
she'll assist a committee that doesn't have a staff support. Now, if a committee has been kind of inactive, we have 60-something committees. We don't have enough staff people for every committee.
Right.
So if
They
you
have a
get,
new Board of Health person. Just starting to replace Karen, so, you know, maybe that person can eventually
Maybe.
take this
I
role.
mean, that's the thing. If you're going to start meeting monthly and you're going to need staff support, I will get that rundown for you, but, in the last few months, we haven't provided any staff support.
Okay, let's continue on for a minute about this, with the work plan and, how we're gonna, piece this up to review it. Fred, you said you were willing to do the appendix B, the figures, right?
Yeah.
Just focus on the ones that say, excavation plan.
Okay.
And everybody's gonna read the first 15 pages or so. I think it's that gives you pretty much of an overview of what they're gonna do. So everybody does the first section. And that just leaves the appendix C, which is the construction specifications. Unless somebody wants to review that, I'd like to take a look at that. That's appendix C. And then the other thing is the field sampling plan, which is in appendix A. Now that's actually where they go in and they actually have derivation of the perimeter air monitoring and how much they're willing to tolerate before they have to shut things down. So Pam, do you want to take a look at
No,
that?
I don't.
No?
You just made a whole bunch of work for me.
Okay,
now.
all right.
So,
And this is a final report. This is not something we need to get back to Kara in 10 days because
She wants it by
made-
the 15th.
she wants comments on this.
Yeah, she wants it by February 15th.
Oh, okay.
Comments.
so,
Okay.
okay, then that raises two issues. One, well, first, if I'm looking right, appendix A doesn't look like it's that long, but,
But there's a lot of equations in there and some derivations.
but maybe I'm not looking at it right. Maybe when I pull it up, maybe there's attachments to it. Never mind. Okay, so,
It's how they come up with the risk numbers, basically. We don't have a risk person on the committee right now.
Right.
yeah, so. I'm not
Well,
really expert. for-
theoretically, Frank is, but I don't know.
Well, I've been through the radioactive risk business.
Do you wanna take a look at the risk numbers? I mean, this should be review, because they use the same, procedures in AOA 8 and AOA 9, but it's never gonna hurt to take a look at them just to see if they still look, reasonable.
Is this an appendix? or-
There's an appendix, A. It's a field sampling plan. It's dust monitoring action levels. This is how they go into the derivation of, how they come up with their dust monitoring action levels. And it includes the risk calculations. So,
We're concerned about the dust during
Yeah.
the cleanup.
that's
That's-
essentially what this is, basically. It's how they come up with their derivation of how much, dust is in the air before they have to stop working. So that's basically what that is. I've got a little bit of a risk background. I can take a look at that if nobody else wants to.
I also think that that's something they know how to do. That we don't really need to be worried about that.
Okay,
I do, that they've been very good about shutting down for all of the other projects they've done based
Yeah.
on how much
Yeah, for the
Dust
whole
is coming
investment
up.
cleanup, for removing material from the roof of the building.
removing removing the buildings, they did
Yeah.
that, so.
Right.
So I think we have a lot of confidence that that's gonna be something they do right.
Yeah,
Well, but you can look,
I-
Link can look at it anyway. I mean, likewise,
Yeah.
I'm not saying, I'm not committing to it, but likewise, you know, if I look at it and see something, I can flag it. I guess my question is, if they want it back by, they want comments by February, what did you say? The 15th?
15th.
And we're meeting on the
Yeah.
16th, so I mean, that's,
I can push for a couple of extra days. Yeah, she's been okay to
Do we
to
want to
grant
meet
that.
on the 2nd? Instead of the 3rd?
we
Sorry?
could.
Do you want to meet on do you want to meet on February 9th instead of February 16th?
No, let's plan on the 16th, and I'm gonna ask her for a couple of extra days. I'm gonna tell her that we're planning to meet the following day after it's due. She's been pretty reasonable about giving
Okay.
us a couple of extra days. And that's all what's all we really need, I think.
Yeah.
I would like to have somebody take a look at that, field sampling plan, the dust monitoring calculation, so, maybe,
That's not me.
no, okay, did you mention that you might wanna do that along with the figures, or that?
I'll take a look at it, yeah.
Okay, so Fred's gonna take a look at that's appendix, A.
So
And,
Fred's doing appendix A and B, Len's doing C, we're all reading the first 15 pages.
Yeah.
Did you
I-
have anything you wanted specifically to work on too, Ray?
I haven't looked at the appendix. I mean, likewise, I'm the least technical in the group here. I'm gonna, you know, look at at least do a cursory review of all the appendix, and if something flags it. And I mean, I guess the question is, do we reach out to other people on the committee and say it, and understanding everybody's busy, can you please look at these first 20 pages, and then, and based on your guys' understanding of their expertise, can you look at whatever to each of the other people on the committee? Like, can you look at A or look at B or look at C? Or I mean, and see what else. I mean, it's better to have more sets of eyes looking at something than just one person.
Right.
So different perspectives. So
So, Nick is our person on the board of, on the natural resources. Is there a section of this, is it the maps in appendix B that really have to do with how the site will be restored?
Yeah, that's restoration, excavation and restoration
Is,
are the
is,
ones.
is appendix B?
That's appendix B, that's correct,
Okay.
but Fred's looking at that.
But I think Nick that's the appropriate thing for him to be looking at, is
Oh,
from his expertise too. So Fred and Nick. And
Okay,
Nick is gonna be looking at it in terms of just the restoration, I think.
yeah,
okay,
everybody's got a different perspective. That's part of the thing. I mean, so
Yeah.
right, exactly, and I think this is the best way to attack a document like this, rather than read the whole 290 pages and get nothing out of it.
Can you talk to whoever at the Board of Health can answer you and get Frank's telephone number and call him and tell him about this document and what you would, and just say, what would you like to work on?
Okay,
That's really more sort of an
at the
agenda,
end of this meeting, I'll go upstairs and
see if we can get that
Yeah.
information, yeah.
he's on the committee, right?
He is on the committee, he is
Okay,
the Board of
all right.
Health person, he replaces Deborah Farnsworth.
The other thing, Ray, is something that may be more up your alley. Did you want to take a look at appendix C, construction specifications?
I'll look at it. Yep.
Okay, so.
I'll focus on C2. Okay.
Okay, so, Ray and Len, and I'll do the risk numbers for the perimeter rear monitoring, which is the appendix A. Okay, good. That's
And
it. We
Fred
got
was-
everything
Fred
covered.
was gonna be doing that too.
Who is?
Fred was also gonna be looking at the risk numbers. for
Yes,
that. So,
yeah,
so Fred and Ray are doing that. Ray and Len are doing appendix. Right,
appendix C,
See?
construction specifications.
right. And so that was appendix A that Fred and you, Len are doing, and
Yeah.
then Nick and Fred are doing appendix B, and I will probably take a look at appendix B too. And you're gonna talk to Frank and talk to him about
Yeah.
this stuff and let him know what the meeting plan is.
All right, let me just go through some, just one more time. Construction, appendix B is gonna be, Fred and Nick, that's gonna be the maps. The figures, construction specifications gonna be Ray and Len. Field sampling plan, and
Fred and Len.
really the most important thing here is the dust monitoring action levels is gonna be Fred and Len. And then whatever Frank, cares to do, or, do you,
And everybody's doing the first 15.
yeah,
pages.
everybody's doing the first 15 pages.
And I'm gonna be working on the maps too, I think.
Okay, all right, so I will let, I'll get the telephone number for Frank. And I'll pass it on to Nick about the construction figures, appendix B.
And Len, likewise, go back to your email of January 9th.
Yeah,
and Examine on who you sent it to and who you missed. I mean, so.
I thought that, gee, I thought that I sent it to,
Well, I'm looking at the
Kevin.
list. It's got Pam, Fred, Nick, myself, Terry, Whalen 55.
That's Frank.
that's Frank, yeah.
Okay, that's Frank. Okay. And Tim. Rose.
And no Kevin, huh?
No, Kevin. Okay, but
My
the other
bad.
thing is
Len,
Kevin.
Len, I sent you an email just to follow up as a reminder.
Okay,
To see
okay,
that.
great.
So Kevin, the other thing is that maybe you should be throwing your weight around as being from crew's perspective of also wanting these documents.
Oh
The
yeah,
crew
no,
should be getting them,
I'm
not just the town, the crew should be getting them too, that you are the designated advocacy group to get you get the grants to review these documents, you need to actually be sent the documents. So
yeah, I'm gonna follow up with
that should
Kara
be-
and Bruce
yeah.
to make
Yeah.
sure that I'm on the distribution list, which I've done, but for somehow it doesn't seem to keep sticking. I get some things, but not others, it seems like, so.
Well, and this is something weird that Kara does, this little thing of not having a list that everybody gets something. And just she's sending to a few people. It does feel like things are getting lost there and she could do a better job with that. So,
Yeah.
I
frustrating.
think to Kevin's point, I think there's multiple lists, and depending on which list they're picking from, you get some stuff and some stuff you don't get, so.
yeah,
Just one more thing, can everybody get, actually, no, we can come up with comments from the group on the 16th at
Right.
the meeting on the 16th, so we don't have to have, separate comments from everybody. So we'll talk about it on the 16th. So that meeting is definitely on the 16th, definitely a go
okay.
on that one, that won't be canceled. And that should give us enough time to look at that document, if we get more than one set of eyes looking at it.
Okay.
That's about it. I'm done from what I had. We've got, item number 6 on the agenda is the, advisory task force, report from the task force liaison, which is,
Well, we have already
yours truly.
discussed everything that I would discuss about what that committee is doing. That committee is gonna be getting their act together and hopefully starting to write a report in June. So they could use any comments we have about activity use limitations and such, but we can do that at a later meeting, so.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So agenda item number 7, public comments. Terry and Kevin, anything on that end for you guys?
Well, I've talked enough in this meeting. You guys are a vital watchdog group. I think this was an excellent meeting. Please let me know how I can help with any issue that you have in terms of, you know, getting another member or, you know, setting up your Zoom, working with Kara, public documents, town council, whatever. That's my job. Let me know, whatever I can do.
Okay, great. Kevin, you got any comments?
Just an observation to impart what you folks were talking about earlier today, that this is the time frame when there are many technical documents that are being produced for a lot of different aspects. And so this is kind of like the technical document crunch period that's probably going to go through 2024. So there are going to be a lot of documents that have, you know, short review times. I think it's going to be it's going to be the fire hose time.
Yep, I agree. And I guess we've got to stay ahead of it too.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's kind of, I don't know, I need to make a spreadsheet or something about the documents that are due, documents that have been submitted and documents that we've reviewed. Because sometimes, I get confused and, there's just so much stuff. But anyway, that's something for me to do. Anybody, have any final comments at all? Anybody have, any last minute comments? I guess not. Yeah, anybody at the table have any final comments?
Motion to adjourn?
Second,
Accepted. Thank you,
All in
guys.
favor? Yeah, okay. Can I, before you go away, Ray, can I talk to you about what your work's gonna be like? Are you gonna be going back to Washington all the time, or are you gonna be able to?
so I am I'm down in DC at the moment in the process of closing up the townhouse I had down here, so I'll be back in Massachusetts most of the time. That being said, I still have barge test in Virginia and probably going out to Wisconsin for stuff, so home more, but not 100% of the time, so
And home is going to continue to be in Concord?
at least at the
another-
moment, yep. So,
Okay.
so,
Are you gonna have more time to actually make it to the meetings, do you think, this summer?
yeah, I'm hoping so, but you know,
Okay.
literally, we have a barge test coming up at some point that I don't know exactly what it is, so therefore, you know, the February 16th, I might not, I mean, I'll get comments to you, but if, you know, if we're down on a barge testing, I won't be able to do it then, but you know, Friday's clearly the better day for me than Tuesdays during the daytime, so.
Is this the Ford or is this another one?
No, I'm working currently on, there's a shipyard up in Wisconsin that made the LCS first class, the variant one. And then it's doing a Saudi Arabia ship. The Navy is building a ship for the Saudis.
Oh.
And they build ships for various other countries too, where the Navy gets involved. And then likewise, it'll be the ones doing the frigate. So I'm currently supporting the Saudi ship. So therefore, that's what I'm working on now. No, the 2,000-page classified report on the Ford was signed last year, and I'm done with that at this point in time.
Okay.
So, yeah, so
She's already been to the Med and back too, so.
yes, right, yeah, so
Okay,
good. So,
Great.
yeah, it should be there more, so.
thank
And
you.
Glenn, if you make if anybody there makes a list of all the documents we supposedly should have, if they could share it with me so I can make sure that I'm not missing anything in my selection. Because like Fred said, it's, you know, you get these by emails and things slip through the cracks and like, you know, so.
Okay, I'm gonna get a spreadsheet together, the best way to do it, and I'll just email it to everybody in the group. It might take me a week to do it. but-
Well, okay, so we should post it if you're gonna do something like that. 'Cause we
Okay.
gotta stop discussing.
Okay, well, we're not really discussing it, it's not really,
Okay, it's just a
I'm
list.
discussing, it's just a list, that's all,
Okay.
yeah.
But
Yeah, it
as
might
you
take-
said, you wanted to know also which things had been that we had sent comments in and things like that, and we should actually also have a list of the comments that we made for each of those things.
I have, I've got all the reports, on my email that, I'm just gonna, try to get them onto my computer. Right now, they're in my computer at work, and that's not a really good idea, because if I ever get fired from work, I lose the documents. So, I'm gonna put them probably put them onto the desktop in this thing right here.
Well, and then then we're gonna put them on the town's website somewhere so we can link to them.
You're saying if I, through your emails, I can find this, SSS document.
Yes, yes. And that was, when did you say, that was last week, right? Ray, you mentioned?
1 second, I think it was
Maybe-
January, I'm looking for it, Lynn.
Remedial action work plan.
It's, yeah,
I thought it was earlier this week, but maybe it was last week.
no, it was before we moved the meeting, so.
Yeah, I think it was Friday. It was not that long ago that you sent it out.
Right.
It's longer than you guys think.
Recent email.
You know what?
It was Tuesday, January 9th
Oh,
Tuesday, January 9th.
at 8:30 PM.
okay.
What I'm gonna do, Fred, is I'll actually print out the figures.
I'm gonna
From
log
the
off.
activation.
Thank you, Red.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Ray. I'm gonna send out the figures of about the excavation plan and the restoration plan. I'll actually print them out. Question is, how can I get, maybe the best thing you do is to drop them at the Board of Health? Why don't I do that?
Yeah, I can pick them up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, give me a couple of days to get that
Oh,
done.
sure.
So I won't be at work, until Sunday, so I can do it on Sunday. I can get this printed out.